Hi yogis, welcome to Yoga with Lynette. Today we've got a slow flow vinyasa for opening up your hips, because a lot of our emotions or a lot of our emotional pain or trauma sits in our hips, and our hips get tight and we are unable to move flexibly as we wish. So let's begin. So you might just need a pillow. Otherwise, if you don't have a pillow, that's totally fine. You don't have to use one. So to begin, we're going to start in a wide-legged child's pose. So knees open up as wide as the yoga mat, and the big toes come to touch at the back, and you sink low into your wide-legged child's pose. So you might even bring your pillow here in between your shins and your hips, and then you sink down. Or if you wish, you might even bring your pillow just underneath your forehead or just underneath your chest. Whichever way feels good for you here is totally okay. Otherwise, when you're here in your child's pose, I invite you to just close your eyes here and then take a deep breath in through the nose and then sigh it out through the mouth. So let's do this 2 more times. Take a deep breath in through the nose and then sigh it out through the mouth. And one last time, take a deep breath in through the nose and then sigh it out through the mouth. So as you're here and you find your normal breath in through the nose and out through the nose, I just want you to think of a certain emotion that you wish to dispose. And when you think of that emotion, I just want you to walk your hands out to the left and then lower your forehead down with that emotion in mind, and finding a normal breath here. If Ujjayi breath is within your practice, you can go ahead and breathe in through the nose and breathe out. Just thinking about that emotion or even emotions that you would like to dispose that aren't serving you, I'd like you to just reach your right arm up towards the ceiling and then maybe look up here and then slowly reach it back down and lower your head down and breathe in through the nose and breathe out as you start to walk your arms all the way to the right, and you find that deep stretch or side stretch onto your left side. And just keeping that emotion in your head, I would like you to just visualize yourself maybe just grabbing that emotion with your hand, or those emotions that aren't serving you, and maybe just gently throwing them out into the abyss and just them disappearing from your heart or from your thoughts. So maybe just keep this feeling in mind throughout the lesson. And inhale to just reach your left arm up and over and look up towards the ceiling. Breathe in through the nose, and then when you breathe out, gently lower that palm down and lower your forehead down. And when you're ready, just really slowly start to lift your head up and gently walk to the front edges of the mat and lower your forehead down into a wide-legged child's pose. And slowly start to shift yourself back up and maybe put your prop onto the side. Yeah. And then come into tabletop position and sit on your haunches with your toes curled under, and maybe find a couple of circles here on your wrists. So just start circling your wrists and maybe flipping your palms out and pulling your fingers gently backwards. And then maybe reversing that flip and pulling your fingers backwards gently, just finding a little release in the fingers. Because often we work on our laptops and we forget to exercise our wrists and our fingers. So coming back into tabletop position, I want you to find lizard lunge onto the right. So right leg comes outside the right corner edges of the mat, wide open, and your hands come inside the right leg, and the back leg is planted flat and firm onto the yoga mat. If you like, you may use your pillow as a prop. You may put your pillow in front of you and then lower down all the way onto your elbows. It's totally up to you. I'm going to stay on my hands. So inhaling through the nose here and slowly exhaling. So maybe try and just find a release on your shoulders here, as you maybe just walk your arms out to the left corner edges of the mat. You can even lower your elbows down here as well if you wish to. And then come back up and let's meet in lizard lunge. Shoulders away from the neck. And then plant your left palm down as you reach your right palm up and over. And then slowly release your right palm. Curl your back toe under and come back into tabletop position. So let's find lizard on the left side, reaching that left leg up towards the corner edges of the yoga mat, the left corner edges of the yoga mat, bringing your hands inside and trying to make sure that whatever it is that you did on the other side, you did on this side. But if it's not working out for you today, maybe your hips are a bit tight, or just maybe your shoulders aren't cooperating, you find what feels good. And remember that wherever you are is beautiful. So finding a gentle lift through the shoulders here as you inhale through the nose. And gently exhale as you walk your hands all the way out to the right side. You might even lower down onto your elbows here on the right side. And exhale as you gently bring it back to center into a lizard lunge. Shoulders away from neck. Plant your right palm firmly on the yoga mat and reach your left palm up and over. And smile here. And gently bring it down. And together we meet in tabletop position and lower your hips down back into a child's pose. Maybe bring your hands behind you here. Let's just find a little bit of a rest in a child's pose with your forehead onto the yoga mat. And slowly start to bring yourself up and push back into a downward dog. Your first downward dog of the day, pushing through your hands, the heels of your hands, and maybe pedaling your dog here. And I just want you to step forward into a forward fold, Uttanasana. So maybe taking ragdoll arms here in your forward fold, bending your knees as much as you need to, and swaying from side to side. Maybe taking your breath with you here, inhaling as you sway to the left, exhaling as you sway to the right. And on your next inhale, I want you to bring your arms onto your palms, halfway lift, Adha Uttanasana, straight spine. Maybe find a gentle rock and roll from front to back here in your Adha Uttanasana. And inhale to come all the way up into Hastasana, high mountain pose. Interlace your hands together at the top. Find a little back bend here. And then drop your hands down into Tadasana, mountain pose. Inhale to reach your palms up and over. Bring them to touch or interlace them together. Find a little back bend. And then exhale to drop your palms down. Let's do this 2 more times. Inhale to reach up and over. Interlace your hands together, find a little back bend, and then exhale to drop your arms all the way down into Tadasana, mountain pose. So maybe let's just hang out in our mountain pose here and breathe in through the nose as we start to find gentle circles through the neck. So drawing little circles with your nose from left to right. Maybe you draw big circles, making sure you reverse the circles as well. And then the next inhale, reach your arms up and over. And then swan dive forward into a forward fold, Uttanasana. Inhale to halfway lift, straight back, hands on shins. And then exhale to plant your palms onto the yoga mat and step it back into a downward facing dog. So maybe pedaling your down dog here. And then shifting your weight forward into a plank pose. And then lowering all the way down and then swooping up into upward facing dog. And then maybe swaying from side to side in your upward dog here and curl your toes under. And bring yourself back into a child's pose. Slowly start to bring yourself back up and push back into a downward dog. So maybe pedal your dog here. On the next inhale, step or jump to the front edges of a yoga mat into a forward fold Uttanasana. And then inhale to halfway lift, hands on shins, straight back. And exhale, Uttanasana. Inhale to halfway lift. And exhale to come all the way up into Hastasana, high mountain pose. And then bring your hands to heart center as we prepare to take tree pose. So standing in Tadasana, I just want you to reach your right leg up in front of you so you can see your toes. And then bring it to the side and see if you can flip your foot and press your foot into your shin, your left shin, or if you can, grab a hold of your foot and maybe press it into the inner left thigh. So making sure that that foot is not pressed into your knee, because that's red zone and bad for you. And then when you're ready in your tree pose, maybe your hands are just on your waist, or your hands are all the way to the top. Maybe interlace your hands here and find a little back bend if you feel like a little bit of a play. And then bring it back down and then shake it off. And let's do that on the other side. So reaching your left leg out in front of you, looking at your toes, and then flipping your foot. So trying to make sure that whatever you did on the right side, you do on the left side. So pressing that foot inside your inner thigh, or maybe on your shins. And then grab a hold of your waist here, or reach your arms up and over and interlace them. Maybe find a little bit of a back bend if you feel like a little bit of a play here in your tree pose. And then gently bring yourself back down, lower that foot down. And then shake off your legs, shake off the kinks. On your next inhale, I want you to reach your arms up and over, Hastasana, high mountain pose, and then swan dive forward into a Uttanasana, forward fold. Inhale to halfway lift, Adha Uttanasana. And exhale to plunge your palms onto the yoga mat. And inhale to halfway lift, Adha Uttanasana. And exhale to forward fold and bring your legs as wide as the yoga mat here. And then just gently or slowly sink all the way down into Malasana, yogic squat. So maybe bringing your hands to heart center here, into prayer hands, and just try and push your inner thighs away with your elbows. And then inhale to lift into a halfway lift. Wide-legged halfway lift here. And hands on shins. Wide-legged halfway lift. And lower down into Malasana yogic squat. Push your thighs away from you with your elbows. Find a lift through the chest in your Malasana yogic squat. And inhale to wide-legged halfway lift. And then again, just forward fold in your wide-legged Malasana squat. And then lower all the way down. Making sure you're pushing your inner thighs away with your elbows in your Malasana yogic squat. And inhale to wide-legged wide-legged lift. And then scooch your feet in. And then inhale to halfway lift normally. And exhale to plant your palms down onto the yoga mat and step it back into a downward facing dog. So maybe lower down into a child's pose here. You might take wide-legged child's pose if you wish. Yogi's choice. And let's take a couple of breaths here whilst we rest. And together we meet in a downward facing dog. So maybe just pedaling your downward dog here. And then inhale to look forward and jump up into forward fold. And then inhale to halfway lift, Adha Uttanasana. And exhale to forward fold, Uttanasana. And inhale to reach your palms all the way up and over, Hastasana, high mountain pose. And bring your palms to heart center. Now, I just want you to stand in Tadasana, mountain pose. And as you're standing here, I want you to bend your right knee and maybe grab a hold of that right knee with your right hand. and floint your toes. And when you're ready, I just want you to reach that right knee to the side. So almost as if you're in tree pose, but your foot is not pressing in your thigh. And if you like, you can reach your left arm up and over like a ballerina. And slowly bring it back to center. And then drop that foot down and then shake it off. Shake your toes and shake your feet off. And stand in Tadasana mountain pose. Let's do it on the other side. Bending your left knee. And then grabbing a hold of that knee with your left arm. Flointing your toes or flexing your toes. And then just bringing it out to the sides. In your knees pointing onto the left side of the room. You may even bring your right hand up and over. And slowly bring it all the way down and shake it off. And let's meet in Tadasana mountain pose. So in your mountain pose, I just want you to inhale through the nose here. And gently exhale. Maybe find a gentle sway in your mountain pose as you reach your arms up and over. And slowly swan dive forward into Uttanasana, forward fold. And inhale to halfway lift, Adha Uttanasana. And exhale to forward fold. Inhale to halfway lift. And exhale to forward fold. Plant your palms onto the yoga mat. And let's step it back into a downward facing dog. So pushing through the hands here. And making sure that maybe your down dog is a bit shorter this time. And shift your weight all the way forward into plank pose. Maybe let's try and hold plank here. You can do this and lower your knees down. And lower all the way down onto your belly into Sphinx pose. So your feet are planted onto the yoga mat and your waist bones are also just as planted onto the yoga mat, and your elbows are reached out in front of you, and you find a gentle lift through the chest here in your Sphinx pose. And when you're ready, I just want you to bend your left knee out to the sides and make sure that your toes are pointing towards the side edges of the yoga mat in a half frog pose. So preparing to take full frog. We are in half frog on the left side, inhaling through the nose here and gently exhaling side out. So we're not here for long. Just making sure you find that gentle tuck as well through the chin. And bring your leg back to center. And let's do that on the right side. So bending your right knee and making sure that your right toes are facing or are parallel to the right side or the right wall. You might even find a couple of neck circles here in your half frog pose on the right. Not forgetting to reverse that circle as you inhale through the nose. Gently exhale, side out. And bring that leg all the way to the back. And maybe shift your weight back into a child's pose. We're not here in this child's pose for long. We're just inhaling through the nose and out through the nose as we prepare to go into full frog pose. And start to bring yourself back up into tabletop position. So when you get here, I just want you to widen your knees a bit wider. And then flip your toes and make them face the opposite sides. And then lower your elbows onto the ground. And then see if you can sink your hips backwards as much as you can. So if you like, you can use that pillow and put it just behind you, or you can lower down onto that pillow. Otherwise, you try and lower down without the pillow. And then when you're ready, you can slowly come out of your frog pose, back into a tabletop position. Maybe getting your alignments right here, getting ready to take cat-cow. So inhaling to look up towards the ceiling and exhaling to round cat pose. Inhaling to look up towards the ceiling and exhaling to round your spine, cat pose. Inhale to look up towards the ceiling, tilt your pelvis. And exhale, chin to chest as you round your spine, cat pose. Inhale to look up towards the ceiling. And exhale, chin to chest, cat pose. One last time. And let's meet back in tabletop position. And I just want you to find a little bit of a flying chair here and lift your knees up a bit here off the yoga mat in your tabletop position. And push back into a downward dog. And draw all the way forward into a plank pose. And then come back into a flying tabletop position with your knees up. Just building some strength and some fire. And then step it back into downward facing dog. And then roll up or roll out again into plank pose and come into a flying tabletop. And then push back into downward dog. And from here, lower your knees down to come into a child's pose. So with your forehead onto the yoga mat, I just want you to sway your hips onto the sides and then find your way onto your back. So with your feet planted onto the yoga mat, I want you to bring your right ankle on top of your left knee to find reclined pigeon, and maybe just bring your hands inside your left thigh and then just gently pull that leg away from the yoga mat. Just find a gentle pull as you maybe flex or floint those left toes. You may even play with your right toes as well. Yeah. As you inhale through the nose and gently exhale through the nose. In your reclined pigeon pose. And start to release that leg. And then just bring your right leg up and over towards your face, maybe holding your shins, the back of your calves actually. And maybe holding your hamstrings, whichever way feels comfortable for you. Don't yank that leg in. Just find a gentle pull and maybe gentle circles in your ankles. And I want you to just grab a hold of the outer edges of that right leg and maybe reach your left leg out and over into a half happy baby pose. So maybe you bring your right knee in towards your left hand as you grab a hold of that leg. Maybe you even try and play with straightening that right leg and then bringing it back to center as you inhale here and slowly exhale to side out. And bring it all the way down. Now let's do that sequence on the other side. Bringing your left ankle on top of your right knee. And then grabbing a hold of the inside of the right thigh. Maybe just pulling the right thigh back or off the yoga mat into a reclined pigeon pose. Maybe finding a couple of release or circles in your right ankle as you inhale through the nose here and gently exhale to side out. And maybe reversing that circle on your ankles as you inhale through the nose. And when you're ready, come out of your reclined pigeon and then bring your left leg up and over towards your face to straighten it. Foot is parallel to the ceiling. Maybe grab a hold of your calves here. Or grab a hold of your hamstrings, whichever way feels comfortable for you. Don't yank or pull too much. And maybe as you did on the other side, just grab a hold of the outer edges of that left foot and then slide your right leg out in front of you into a half happy baby pose. So inhaling through the nose here, seeing if you can play and straighten that leg out and bring it back to center in your half happy baby pose. And then as you exhale, drop that leg down and maybe just flop your feet out in front of you here. And just bring your knees out towards your chest and give yourself a hug here. Maybe just find a couple of circles through the ankles. And then come into a full happy baby pose. So grabbing both the outer edges of your feet. And then maybe rolling from side to side here, massaging your spine in your happy baby pose. Inhaling through the nose. And gently exhaling, try to straighten those legs out, maybe one by one or both of them. Just find a little bit of a play here in your happy baby pose. And maybe bring your feet into a clam. Bring your feet to touch, the insides of your feet to touch. And lower your knees down into Supta Baddha Konasana, reclined butterfly pose. We're not here for long. Maybe as you settle in your butterfly, in your Supta Baddha Konasana, you find that your knees even just flop out a bit more and your hips open up a bit wider. So inhaling through the nose here. You might even close your eyes as you get ready to come into Shavasana, corpse pose. So just sliding your feet out in front of you and flopping your toes to the sides of the yoga mat, onto the outside of the yoga mat. You may bring your hands onto your belly here if you wish, or just keep your hands on the side as they are. And I invite you to just close your eyes here as we close our practice. And with your eyes closed, I just want you to imagine that I have come onto the computer screen and I've just placed a warm towel underneath your lower back. And as you find release on your lower back, I just want you to maybe think of releasing your ankles and think of relaxing your knees and think of relaxing your elbows even more onto the yoga mat. And then think of just flopping your fingers all the way out even more. And relax your shoulders down and away from the neck or the ears. Relax your jaw or your jaws. And let go of any clenching. And maybe start to bring your attention back into the room here. Wiggle your fingers and wiggle your toes and bring your feet or your knees out towards your face and give yourself a big hug. Thank your body for showing up on your yoga mat. And maybe cross your feet here and start to roll back and forth into a cross-legged sit Sukhasana. With your hands on your knees, maybe roll your shoulders up and backwards. And then just gently open your eyes, introducing yourself to the light again. Thank you, yogis, for practicing with me today. I hope you enjoyed the practice. And if you did, don't forget to subscribe for more videos like this. Namaste, yogis. And I hope everyone have a great day.